Hmm. It says that I'm live. Do I look alive? I'm a little bit alive. Okay. Wow, I've got 3 thumbs up already. But, okay. I've got 3 viewers now. I guess people had come on prematurely and gave me a thumbs up already. And that's really nice of you. Thank you. Thank you. So, for the last couple of days, I've been writing down things as they come to my mind that I might be interested in talking about. Things that are more interesting than ladybugs being fed to chickens. And, hi Diana. Hi Diana, how are you? And so I hope that you find these things as interesting as I sort of think they are when I think of them. Hello, Pixels. So let's see. In a nutshell, oh wait, let me get better light. More light. Let there be more light. Is that better? God, it's too much. Okay. In a nutshell, uphill is the first subject. The next one would be denial and how I cut my own hair. Does it look good? My thoughts on the Royals, doing it my way. You know the song, I did it my way. Your body trying to get stuff out. Does Trump really care? Somebody's got my back. Chickens eating green seeds. Chickens eating green seeds. America is and I won't tell you the rest. People in peril. The new moon in a specific sign. Getting out of my game. Watching the progress. New product things. Still not used to my current something. It's scary to something. It's tough to something. Nothing is solid. New something. See, I'm not telling you very much about these things, am I? That's to keep you on the edge of your seat. And thoughts about something. So let's see, which thing would I like to tackle first? Okay, the last thing. I'll tackle the last thing, which is thoughts about the past making me sick. And sometimes I'll tell you that when I'm really sensitive about thoughts of the past, I'll get like these nauseating feelings. Do you know what I'm talking about? And so whenever I see something from the past, whenever I hear something from the past, it'll make me think about the past. And much of my past, especially in my early childhood, I can tell you that things that remind me of the late 60s can sometimes make me really kind of sick. And I know that that has something to do, for sure, it's all to do, all of it is to do with my parents. And so I had a childhood with screwy parents in a lot of regards. And it's not that they weren't raised okay, because they were. It's just that for whatever reason, they had problems, especially against each other, like they wanted to fight a lot. And so I think that I have just like, sometimes I get just like bad feelings when I see a car from that era or certain things that remind me of that time frame, which is when I lived in Southern California, in the Glendale and or Lancaster, California area. So yeah. Okay. New logos. I'm going backwards. Sometimes, and this is another subject, sometimes I'll know that I am up to my neck with things if I go backwards. And I learned this from Donna Eden of the Energy Medicine book and kit that I have. That if you tend to want to like read from the bottom up, you'll see a list of things and then you'll choose to start at the bottom and then you'll work your way up. That means that you're probably overburdened with things at the moment. And you can often tell, like she does kinesiology testing to tell if a person is overburdened. You can test yourself by various means, and I do have a video or two out there in that regard. But, okay, so I'm going to do one more from the bottom up, new logos. I may have shown some of you these in a previous video, but check that out. That is my logo, and it's a wood and or leather stamp that you heat up, and then you burn it. Or you meet a cute girl and you write on her, and then from there on out, everybody knows that she was yours, at least for one night. Oh, man. 16 girls just unsubscribed. I'm just joking, yo. It's just a logo stamp for leather and or wood. And then these are little tags that I can sew on things. My orthotics, I just latex them on the orthotics. Oh, here's a sample. Hi. Hey, Guar. Hey, Diana, you already said hi. Okay, so let's go back. We got those two out of the way. Okay, let's start with the first one. Uphill. There will always be times when things are tougher. And I've been thinking that to myself lately, and sometimes I just know that there's something contradictory, something clashing going on astrologically or something. The winter is always tougher because it's cold and it's dark and things are slow, especially in a place where people are used to things going. Then the winter comes along, and then things are difficult because they're not able to acclimate to that slower period of time. And I know this, I'm just telling you things for the most part from my experience and observations. Okay? So I think it's always imperative that one breathes and slows down, and you'll get anxiety. You'll get anxiety when you're wanting to go 60, but the world is only going 30. It's a clash. And that is another related thing to the first thing. Thoughts of making me sick. Thoughts of the past making me sick. So, yeah, there was some things that I was thinking about in regards to that being. Hello, Martha. In regards to the slowing down, the times are going to be tougher. Yeah, okay, so look at it this way. Everything ebbs and flows, right? And there are going to be times when you go outside and the weather is just perfect and you just feel really good. And that's how it is with every single aspect in your life beyond the weather. Think of all the different things that can be up or down. And so it's so important to realize, for anyone that's really mental like I am, if you're really a mental person, then it really helps to realize mentally things. I know Diana is very mental. She's that kind of a person. So that it would help anyone that's a real like mind thinker person to get things in perspective mentally. And so if you know that a relationship with someone, there's always going to be ups and there's always going to be downs. What else? What's another? Write some more examples there, Besides a relationship or the weather, there are going to be times when you're feeling physically better and or feeling physically worse. So, yeah, if you remember that, it will help you. Denial. Okay, so this whole thing with having a president like Donald Trump, and we all know what I'm talking about, it's really opened my mind, my eyes, to the reality of denial and deception. Not just on his part, but on the other side as well, and the media. But when you understand the truth of that through those three avenues, then you start to realize that human beings are so imperfect. We're so imperfect, and some of us in different ways, we are imperfect. Some are really imperfect physically, like they're really too thin, or they're really too fat, or they're born deficient, or whatever, cross-eyed. So that would be a deficiency on a physical level. But people can be very weak in so many different regards, And if people think that, and so many of us do, because we think that we can buy anything. We think we can buy damn near anything in this world. And you almost can, but not. And anyone that studied health for very long knows that that's just not the way it is, because you can't just buy anything with health. And one example, like I mentioned before, is breathing. Like, nobody can force you to breathe. You have to do it yourself. Nobody can force you to get clean air. You have to achieve that yourself. And so the denial thing is so apparent with people that all they can see is dollar signs in their eyes. All they can see is a president with a means for survival by pulling off doing various things to protect the country, and sometimes I've taught you this, that individually we have to focus on ourselves sometimes, and I'll often say, well, you really, if everyone would just take care of themselves, then we would all be so well off, wouldn't we? But even that has its limits, because there are people that need to take care of other people, and there are people that need to be taken care of. But we all do need to get to a point of where we're more and more taking care of ourselves, and less doing things that aren't really that valuable. And we all know all the things that people do that really aren't that valuable. And there's a place for entertainment, but my God, doesn't it haven't we taken that too far? Hasn't Hollywood just gone too far for most people? The time that they spent. I mean, think about when you were a kid. You might still be a kid, and you might be watching this and thinking, man, I do spend a lot of time watching television, or a lot of time playing games, or a lot of time on the internet and stuff. And so, really, and there's another one here that directly connects to this. In fact, everything is so interconnected, so interconnected. And let's see. Lost my train of thought. So let's move on to the next thing. You know what I mean, though, by all the people that are in denial in regards to Donald Trump and the economy and this and that. Oh, he's just a great guy. He's a great guy. Well, most people aren't going to say that, but they're not going to say anything bad about him, because he's helping the economy, and I'm dependent on the economy being good, and so we really need him. Even if he's a total and I could go on and on with that, and some of the words would be really bad. Anyways, so how I cut my own hair. Do you guys like my haircut? Well, I finally bought myself a Flowbee. And a long time ago, I'm probably watching television, and I see an info commercial come on, and it's for this thing called a Flowbee. And you hook a vacuum up to it, and it sucks your hair up into the chute and then cuts it. And I was like, hey, MP. And so I was like, man, that is pretty smart. That is pretty cool. But a whole lot of those things that we saw in those info commercials, whatever you want to call them, were very gimmicky and or plasticky and or things that you wouldn't really use. And so when I got to be an adult, I continued to see those commercials sometimes, or I'd see them somewhere, and I just didn't ever buy one, even though I thought it was a good idea. And then, many years later in San Diego, when I was in my 20s, my God, time was just flying away. But I was in my 20s, and I owned various businesses, and I was putting out flyers on cars and or putting out flyers in businesses in the commercial districts of San Diego. And there it is, the Flowbee building. And I don't remember if I ever went in there. I think it was just, like a warehouse. But I saw it several times, and it just stuck in my mind. Hey, there's the Flowbee building. They're still selling those things. And recently, I've been thinking about trying diligently to reduce my expenses. And one of the things I really don't like is having to call and get an appointment for a haircut. And I don't like the expense of it. I don't like trying to get in. I guess I don't mind getting a haircut. It's not like it hurts. But I do enjoy the conversation part of getting a haircut. But overall, I really just didn't like getting a haircut. And lately I'd been thinking, as you know, that I would buy a Flowbee. So I did. And guess what? It cuts perfect. It cuts a perfect freaking haircut. And I'm going to do a live. Next time I cut my hair, I didn't want to do a live for the first one. Here, I'll comb it and you'll see how good it looks. The Flowbee people should be paying me for this endorsement. And so when I say it's a perfect haircut, I mean that it is a haircut that when I go over the top with the spacer, it sucks the hair up into the machine and it cuts it at the exact amount. And I mean, and it shreds the hair. It like cuts it. It doesn't cut off a big piece at a time, because when you look in the vacuum, they're like little tiny pieces. And so it cuts all of this at the exact length. All of the top, the whole top and around the back at the exact length, the exact same length. So this hair right here is like exactly the same length as this hair here. And same with the back. All of that. And so it's like, and then on the sides, it's got these angled spacers. And the sides are cut exactly the same length. And so you can cut your hair in 10 or 15, 20 minutes max, depending on how many times you want to go over it. Probably 20 minutes, because then I have to cut the back, and the back's the hardest part. And I've got those other regular hair cutting shearers that don't have any vacuum required for doing that. And then you have to cut around your ears, you know, and I've got this other little thing, this like nose hair clipper that I use for that, because it's small and it does that really good. But so from now on, instead of me starting to get looking raggedy, this is the other advantage. Besides saving the money, besides not having to go anywhere, besides getting a perfect haircut, I get haircuts as often as I want. I could get a haircut every day. I could get a haircut 3 times a day. But I think that I'm going to get a haircut about once a week. And I like my hair at this length. I like it that. And I like it to stay about like that, and so it will be. So you're not going to see me get like really long hair anymore. It might get a little longer and or a little shorter, depending on the time of year. You cut your hair. Wait. Oh, no wonder I can't see. I had it at 125%. Okay. I was cutting trees with my handsaw. My shoulder is getting better. Well, that's good. I just have to go watch your shoulder vids again. I've been cutting my own hair for years. MP, you have so much to say. Yes, Martha, the Flowbee is doing well. So yeah, I got a Flowbee. My thoughts on the Royals. Okay, so there was a time in the past when I would say something to the degree of like, why the hell do you have to have royals? Why do they have royals? Like, what do they do? That's from the past. Kings and queens and knaves and all that. Knights. and it all really does, like when I look at that, it's another thing. When I look at them in their costumes and all of that, you know, and the crowns and all of that stuff, the royal stuff, I think to myself, you know, but I've come to realize that there's like a new purpose for the royals. So the new purpose purpose of the royals is to set a good example. And the thing with people in Great Britain, English people, is that being proper is really important. Being proper. And the royals set that example of how to be a good, proper citizen. And maybe a lot of people really need that. Maybe we need to have royals here in the U.S. I think so. I think that a whole lot of those Trump supporters need to know, like, that it's just not right to be deceitful and a billionaire prick, etc., etc. It's just not right. It's not ethical to lie every other thing that comes out of your mouth and try and manipulate people for your own financial and power benefits. It's not right. So maybe we need royals. And they go out, they've been going out and they go to do their charitable work and stuff like that. And as for Meghan Markle and Prince, what's his name? I don't blame them for not wanting to do that gig anymore. That would get, for a lot of us, it would get old. They don't want to be a royal. We'll never be royals. It's just not in our blood. So those are my thoughts on the royals. Oh, another thing I think that is really funny. Like, isn't it interesting how you look at the British Parliament? Have you ever seen the British Parliament and how flamboyant it gets in there? It's crazy. Those people are like, I thought that they were supposed to be civilized in Great Britain. But when you see the Parliament, especially when they're arguing over the recent, the Brexit, it's like they've gone back 200 years. They've lost their civility. And compare that to our Congress. I think that we are blessed, maybe, in that weird way. At least, like right now with the impeachment, they have to sit there quietly. All of them, Democrats and Republicans, have to sit there quietly. There's no way in hell they could do that in Parliament. They'd be screaming shit. They might even have a fist fight. So maybe that's why in Great Britain they have to have royals, because maybe they're not as civilized as we particularly think that they are. Okay. Doing it my way. All right, so I sometimes appreciate an idea from people emailing me, telling me that, oh, what I need to do is collaborate with other YouTubers or collaborate for some blogging on the internet, And, that might be a good long-term thing, and I've actually been doing a little bit of that. I've written a couple of blogs on my website in the last 6 weeks, maybe, month. But time is of the essence, y'all. Time is of the essence, and those things really take time. And I'm kind of a one-man show, and I don't know that I'm all that interested in collaborating with other YouTubers. It's really kind of a matter of time, like I said, because, whatever you put in for somebody else, you'd like to get that much back for you, right? And I don't know that I would, and I don't know. If I see somebody that I'd really like to hook up with, a YouTuber that I think, man, that's a good match. That person's a good match for me. Then maybe I'll contact them. But like, whether they want to collaborate back with me is a whole nother story. I might not even be able to connect with them at all. There are so many potential obstacles. And additionally, I have quite a bit of things that that I know I can do before I start to get. I'm not desperate, y'all. I'm not desperate for a business and or for whatever, because what I'm finding is that I'm moving into a new thing. I'm moving into a new life and a new lifestyle and all of this, and it's a gradual change constantly. And pretty soon I'm going to have eggs, and I'm going to advertise for organic eggs around here. And this is one of the things that I think is really going to help my local connecting with people. Because around here, I think that a lot of, not just around here, but I think a lot of people in the country are very apprehensive to get to know anyone. And it's funny that out here, I've noticed that some people that live right next door to each other don't even know each other. It's really weird. It's not like the city, like in some neighborhoods, like when I lived in Asheville, everyone knows each other on Starnes. A lot of people, anyway, know each other in that neighborhood. But here, people don't mingle that much. And I think that the reason is because a lot of people that live in the country don't really like people that much. Me being one of them. I like some people, and that's how they are. They like people that are like them, like of their kind, and think the same way that they do. And it's one of my downsides. I'll admit it. I'll admit it. But in any case, I think that selling eggs around here, organic eggs that aren't cheap, but the right people will pay for them. The kind of people that I might connect with. And so what you need is an in like that, an in with people, to be able to promote other things. And not just things, but like friendships, loverships, like all kinds of things that you do with, that you have relationships with other people with. And so I'm hoping that my eggs will connect me with some people. And I have a few other ideas because I think it's really important for me to connect with people locally. But for the life of me, for the last 2.5 years, I haven't been able to figure out how to really do that. And I still don't know that if it's possible yet. But I don't really have another place to go. I don't really have another option right now, like, oh, I can just go to this holistic utopia where everybody is like cool and or not like dirty, lazy hippies or stuff like that, you know? Because I'm not into that, which is what you get when you go to a lot of these places. People like that just like to sit around and smoke pot and all day, and they don't get anything done. They don't ever get ahead in life and stuff like that. I'm not into it. So yeah, so basically I'm just doing it my way. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to suggestions, because that would be really stupid. It's just that most of the time, after analyzing the suggestions that people give to me, whether it be from you or Facebook friends or whoever, I find that I've already thought about those things. They're probably not going to work out for me. They're not time conducive to good time keeping, etc. You know, you've only got so many hours in the day. Let's check out the comments and see if anyone. You visited that place like that a few years ago, yeah. Or like, it's been now at least 5 or 6 years now. A couple of years, no, Brandon. It's been 5 or 6 years now since I went and traveled around the country. Can't you tell by the way I look? I'm like old now. No, I'm a lot healthier. I'm a lot healthier. I don't have near as much chemical residue in this body. I've paid a lot of price to get all that out of me. It's amazing. Anything else here? I've been following you that long. Yeah, I guess you have, man. The big wigs can throw down longer, actually. Really good. Okay, alright. So, your body trying to get stuff out. Now, so I just collect them in the jar. And feed them to the chickens in the morning. They don't hurt anything, and they don't usually bite. But, so your body trying to get stuff out. Now, somebody emailed me the other day, and that's another one of these. People in peril contacting me lately. So it's that time of the year when things are probably the most perilous time of the year. And I would say that if you were to look it up, when do people die the most? It would probably be in the winter time. Bet you. And that's for a lot of different wintry reasons. And you've got to really get into the spiritual thing. And I consider doing this to be one of my spiritual things that I have to do. And it's also something to do with my Mercury and Leo. Like the Leo, the lion entertainer, and Mercury is communication. But in any case, doing your body trying to get stuff out. So this person emailed me the other day saying that they had this extreme neck and shoulder pain, and he had to go to the ER. Okay, so I can tell you that oftentimes when you get a headache or when you get really tight and sore shoulders that radiate up your neck and into your head, then oftentimes I think that it's because your body is going into a state of detox, specifically in your upper digestive region. That is what I have experienced. And so I think that a lot of people will get nauseous, and what they need to do is watch my video on how to vomit. Because that's probably what they need to do, because sometimes you'll get a lot of acid in your stomach, and sometimes you'll get bile in your stomach. And when you get bile in your stomach, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's very acidic and can be very painful, and it can radiate straight up your esophagus, and somehow that radiates to your shoulders and neck and head. I'm telling you this just because I know it from experience, and I know my body, and I have a good general idea on the pathways of the body and how things affect each other. And people will get heartburn, and they're all familiar with that. When you've got acid in your stomach, then it creeps up your esophagus, and then you get the heartburn. But it's not just the acid in your stomach creeping up your esophagus. It's the acid in your stomach causing distress in your stomach and inflammation, which is your stomach is connected to your esophagus, and so your esophagus experiences inflammation and pain. And that is also leading up to this region, and if it's bad enough, it can give you a headache. And sometimes, and this is what I mean by there will always be times when things are tough. So a couple of days ago, for a couple of days, I went through another cleansing cycle. Okay, so most people, they don't want to go through cleansing cycles. And I told this person that's been a long time donator for me, very nice old guy that now has to live in the country because that's where his daughter lives, his daughter and son-in-law. And so they were forced, him and his wife were forced to move to the country so they could be close to them, so that the kids could take care of them because they're older now, they're like 80. And so I decided late that night, I didn't know exactly how much I should reveal to this person because sometimes I just don't know. I just don't know how much they can handle. I'm like, okay, I am just going to share with him that video and tell him that oftentimes the tightness and the pain in your shoulders and or headaches, etc., neck, etc., can be related to stuff in your stomach and or gunk, acid, bile, etc., and you probably should go and drink a bunch of baking soda water and throw up. Okay, so a day or two later, I get this email back from him saying something to the degree of, and I didn't save it, and I don't believe I read the first bit of it, but I didn't read the whole thing because I knew what was coming. He said that he had only thrown up one time in his whole life. This is an 80-year-old man. He had only thrown up, vomited one time in his entire life, and it was the worst experience that he had ever had. And he went on to describe it in great detail. I don't recall exactly what it was, but he could never do something like that. Okay, so this is what one of the things that I have to deal with being the person that I am, because there are so many things that I teach people on my videos that some of them will take to it like a Labrador to water, and others will just put up the crucifix and be like, no, get away from me. And so, well, what are your options? There really aren't any. When you've got stuff in your stomach that doesn't want to go down, the valves in there, like the stomach has closed off because it doesn't want whatever is in there to go through 30 foot of digestive system and be absorbed into your body. Your body is smart. Your body is smart. It knows what it needs. And it oftentimes needs things that are very different than what you're thinking. And number one, there will always be times when things are tougher. And sometimes you'll feel good, and sometimes you go into a state of release and or toxicity and or your immune system is kicking in. Okay, so people don't like to feel their immune systems kicking in. They don't like to feel a functioning proper immune system because they feel sick. Okay, so people will take all of these various over-the-counter meds to suppress their immune systems. They'll do all kinds of things to suppress their immune systems. And it's just not a good idea at all to have like a deeply suppressed immune system, because not just physical things that people do. It's not just physical things that people do. It's mental things too. And we're all guilty of them. We're all guilty. Anything that you do that goes against logic, that goes against love, that goes against prosperity, that goes against, that adheres to negative thinking, I mean, anything that's not beneficial and just and just a barrier, just something that you're doing to kind of put off the inevitable. All of those things are just suppressing your body's ability to fight off disease. And there's another subject, the coronavirus. And the first thing I think about was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Back in my early 20s, I used to have the coronavirus. In fact, I've got a picture of me drinking a Corona right in front of the alcohol prohibited sign in Pacific Beach. Would you like to see it? Okay. So sometimes I'm going to have to move this camera. That's right. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. I'm going to have to move the camera, and I hope that it doesn't, like, disconnect. But I have to find this. There it is! Ha ha! Maybe I'll just hold it up. Okay, so. See that? That's me in Pacific Beach in San Diego holding a Corona and being a smart ass standing in front of the alcohol prohibited sign. And I've got a Padres shirt on, a San Diego Padres shirt. Oh, and there I got the second one there is a kid riding a wheelie, and the third one is some cute girl bending over. So, yeah, some things change and some things don't. So let's catch another ladybug. So, the coronavirus, how dangerous is that? Who knows? But I think they said that somebody in their 30s died of it yesterday. And a couple of people now, they've have it in the United States. Bet you can't catch a flight out of Wuchang right now. But it's inevitable. It's totally inevitable that with the things with the environment, with the increase in human population, with the decrease in human immune strength, it's inevitable. I mean, it's within our lifetimes, within the next 10, 20, 50 years, it's very, very likely that you're going to see something come along that they cannot control. Not just fires, but diseases. So I'm just telling you that. I'm not telling you that to, like, scare you. I'm just telling you that because I think in terms of logic, and I know how things work in general. I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I have studied. I watch history videos, I've never really been big on history, but I know that things come and things go. And I really enjoy the study of how things work. And one of the first things that I started studying in health and healing is macrobiotics. And that's largely what macrobiotics is. It's a study of how things work. And societies come and societies go, and things get hot and things get cold, and hair grows and it gets cut off, and things get, you know what I mean. And it's interesting to kind of watch it. And it's also another one of these that I wrote down is that I found it very interesting. In the beginning, when Trump got to be president, I thought it was really scary. Most of us, I think, were really shocked especially after the first, say, 6 months, the first 6 months of him being president and doing all the things that he did, of which some of us were like, well, that's kind of a good idea. And other things were like, my God, oh my God. And it was scary. But now it's kind of just like an interesting watching of the process of human development and human evolution, and it's interesting to put two and two together. For instance, the United States has this fiasco, this whole weapons sale fiasco thing with Joe Biden, etc., with Ukraine. And then the United States has a problem with Iran, and so we assassinate one of their generals, and then we have an attack from Iran, and then a Ukrainian jet gets shot down. Okay? It just went right in a circle. It went right in a circle. And anyone that thinks that that's just a coincidence, you just haven't recognized energy and the way it flows. You haven't seen how things work in your own life and or in the life your other people's lives in this world. And there is no such thing as a happenstance. It's just it doesn't work like that. Everything is connected. And when I was a new massage therapist, they told me that all these points in my feet were connected to various places in my body. And I've used this as an example a few times, but it's not just that in your body. It's like all the places in your ear, auricular therapy. Those are all connected to all places in your body. But when something kind of weird, something kind of interesting, when something kind of obscure happens in your life, take note. Take note. Don't freak out. Just take note, because that means that something possibly, very likely, that's similar to that thing is also, more things are going to happen that are similar to that thing. Or something just recently also happened that's similar to that thing. And I'll have something happen with somebody named Josephine, just as an example. And lo and behold, the next day, somebody named Josephine will order something from me. And I know, and that's how I know, that energy flows. And I've been watching these little coincidences for a long, long time, and I've been trying to figure out how to harness them and figure them out. Yeah. Okay. So, not done with the bottom out. So you really need to be, whenever you go into a state of healing, as hard as it may be, and sometimes it's really, really hard, you have to give in mentally to the body physically. And even doctors will tell you to go sleep, go get rest. And that's really, most of the time, one of the most important things for people to do. Just lay down and breathe. And that's really weird, though, for a lot of people to do, because nobody's ever taught people how to do that. And you really, unless you were taught something, you just don't know. Even the most simple things, it's so strange. Even the most very, very simple and almost too simple to fathom things, experienced and or been taught them, if they just don't get it. They don't know. They don't know that that, okay, it's a day to not do anything. And it's really another thing that makes that really, really hard is because most of us live paycheck to paycheck. And like I've given this example again before, there were people, what were they? There was some type of a worker that when they couldn't pass the budget last time, there was a worker, a government worker, a whole bunch of different types of government workers that were laid off. And now they got paid eventually. They got paid for that time that they were laid off. A lot of them were supposed to work and said, screw it, we're not going to work anyway. If you're not going to pay us, we're not going to work. And others just went ahead and kept working without any paychecks, even though they hadn't passed the budget yet, the government. And the ones that couldn't pay their bills, like their rent or their food or whatever, were in real trouble. And the ones that had saved some money were okay, and they got to take a break. And then eventually they still got paid for all that time anyway. So it was like a paid vacation. But the ones that didn't have any money saved up at all had to take out like loans from the government or from the bank. And they couldn't pay. There were some of them had to ask their landlords for extensions on their rent because they weren't getting paid. And so it was really tough for those people that didn't have any money saved. Whereas it was a freaking vacation for the ones that had plenty of money saved. They weren't worried about it because they still got paid anyway. Okay, so that's what I mean by like, it's so important to be able to take time off. And if you have to work, if you're forced to work for whatever reason, like you have a job where if you were to call in, you might get fired. Or if you were to take the day off, you just wouldn't be able to afford to take the day off because you need money. There are a lot of people in that position. And in the future, it's amazing to think about, like, there's another subject that I haven't written down here that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately. Human evolution, all of the, like, where we're at. When I was younger, a lot younger, I would think to myself, man, we have come so far. I would think in terms of human beings have come so far, because I'd look back at where we were before and I'd come to realize how much better off we are with all these inventions, and we got heated housing and all kinds of things that are so much better than, say, 100 or 200 years ago for people nowadays. But now I look, and now that I've analyzed so many different things, that humans are really, really Neanderthals about, I say to myself, oh my God, human beings have such a long way to go. And it's so hard for those of us that want to live a progressive life in a world of people that aren't living a progressive life, because they're so diligently holding us back. And you know, it's a test. It's a real test to not lose it when people are shooting guns on the property next door to you. Or just like so many different things that people want to do, and it's just because that's where they're at. And when it affects you really directly, it's almost impossible to control the anger. Almost impossible. But if you can somehow isolate yourself from all of that, and in all ways, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, if you can isolate yourself for the most part from all of that, and also come to an understanding in your mind that these people are just, that's where they're at in their time of evolution. That's where they're at. And you may have been there yourself, and or maybe you can put yourself in their shoes. You know, like, oh man, maybe it would be fun to go shoot that, what's that rifle, that automatic rifle that murderers kill people with in schools and stuff. Maybe it would be fun to shoot that thing. You know, for me, I've really worked hard to get past that mentally. Those things, like I can't stand. Like tonight, I was thinking to myself, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. Tonight, I was thinking to myself, man, I should just get in the car and drive to Asheville and go find a fun dance bar and go mingle. But you know what? I hate bars. I hate bars. I like to dance, but the thing is that the drunkenness and the energy of the whole thing, it so offsets the fun part of the bar that, and I wouldn't want to go meet anybody there because they're not my kind of people. They're not holistic for the most part. I mean, I might be able to find somebody that's sort of like a drinker, holistic person, but probably not really. And so there are other options that are a much better use of my time, especially like when you live in the country and you live far from the city, it's an hour away. You have to really make use of your time appropriately. And so right now, I need to, like, on Monday, I need to go pick up some chicken wire because I've got to build another fence. And I've got to go to Asheville to Home Depot and pick up some chicken wire. And so that's the time when I'm going in. And so that's the time when I need to get all the things done that I need to get done. And so if I want to go flirting around, then I need to go to the right place for me to flirt around. And I need to get all my other things done at the same time. There are certain things about living in the country that you sacrifice. There are certain things, and being able to just go to the store, go to whatever, go to a restaurant, go to anything that's progressive. And you're not going to find that in this local little town like I live in. If anything, progressive, hardly. We do have a little health food store. So yeah, it's give and take, but here's the thing. When you come to the point of where you're up to here, you have maxed out with the 5G and the smog and the crime and all of the rest of the bullshit, the chlorine and the fluoride and the EMF, when you've had enough of it and you can stand it no more. It's up to your nose now, and you can't breathe anymore, and you notice that you're taking shallow breaths. Your body, it wants more oxygen, but your mind is telling your body not to breathe anymore because the air's not good. Or you're clenching. Your muscles are clenching because you know that there's a lot of electromagnetic fields in the air. Or you see things about 5G, blah, 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 and other people are telling you, here's another subject that I heard today from Kaipacha. Oh, there's this magical aura that we can put over a whole city. There's this magical bubble aura thing that we can put over a whole city that protects people from 5G. Do you believe it? Man, talking about a placebo there. That, my friends, is a major effing placebo. And if you can believe it, see, like, what you don't know won't hurt you. Is that true? I don't know. I think eventually people are going to get really effing freaking sick. and their bodies are going to get really worn down, especially the ones that have new 5G phones. But like I said, it's just another one of those very interesting things that I am observing. See, I'm like, oh, well, look at that. See, in the beginning, when I heard about 5G and when I heard about a lot of things, like I said, I was really scared. But now I'm much more like finding it interesting to watch the evolution of humanity and thinking to myself, well, it's going to be interesting to say, I told you so. It won't be long, maybe 5, maybe 10 years before they come to this amazing realization that 5G is causing all kinds of health problems in people. It's increased. And they'll look back over time and they'll be like, oh, notice how this particular disease went like this. And then exactly in 2020, when they started installing all those 5G transmitters, that disease went like this. Straight up on the graph page. Maybe selling eggs, you will find a friend or ask somebody where the ladies are. Go on Facebook in your town. Now, I don't do... See, another perfect example of, oh, somebody's being nice and they're giving me a suggestion. Meeting people on the internet, it doesn't work for me. Now, I'm not saying that it might not work for other people, but it doesn't work for me. So, Match.com, stuff like that, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Those things don't work for me. So let's see. Brett, what do you think about Wim Hof breathing? I think that when people are desperate for some kind of a change in their life, a real change in their life, that they'll find these little small pieces of the puzzle. They'll see a video and they'll be like, man, that's really profound. I'm going to start doing that Wim Hof breathing. It might help you, Martha. Why don't you try it? It might be really great. But for me right now, another one of the things that I wrote down here, several things. It's scary to progress. It's tough to find things I'm interested in. Okay, here it is. Still not used to my current diet and lifestyle. Okay, so I've noticed, and many of you may have also noticed, that whenever you make a change, a significant change in your life, then you will not feel comfortable. You will not feel as though you are comfortable in your own skin. And I've noticed that every time I've done something like move, for instance, when I moved to Asheville, I did totally not feel right at all for at least 6 months. And in the beginning, when you first make a change, it'll feel really good and you'll be like, oh man, this is great. But you have this inner feeling that, oh my God, I'm going to have a transition period to get used to this like nobody's business. And that's how it's been with almost every single thing that had any kind of significance at all to it for me to get used to. And I quit eating. When I moved to the country, that was probably one of the biggest things for me. I was so sick, so freaking sick when I moved to Brevard. But then when I quit eating the Coleman organic chicken, because me and the dog both ate quite a bit of that regularly, at least one chicken every week, if not 2. Probably 2 every 10 days we would eat chicken. And so when I completely cut that out and just started eating fish and eggs and occasionally, but not very often, some red meat, stuff like it's okay to eat anything wild, but nothing man-made meat, no man-made production meats anymore. It's been almost, I think, 6 months now since I started doing that, and I'm leveling out to a degree, but I still don't feel comfortable in my own skin. And that's with doing a psyllium shake almost every day. Once in a while, I'll forget or something, but for the most part, every morning I do a psyllium shake, psyllium seed and psyllium husk, and that keeps me in the ball game. That keeps me in the ball game. If I didn't have something running through me, soaking up the muck, the chemicals and stuff, because see, I know that mentally I'm not comfortable in my own skin. Physically, I'm totally not. I have pain, release in all muscles, but it's not just from the changing of the meats. It's still from detoxing chemicals from living on busy streets in the city and breathing fumes from God knows how. I owned an auto detailing business in San Diego where I drove around, a mobile auto detailing business, for 8 years in my 20s. Then I lived in Utah for another, I don't know how many years, with a mobile windshield repair business. So that's what I did. Even when I went to massage school, I had to drive from Ogden to Salt Lake every weekday, back and forth. It's a half hour each way. So during that period, I was also breathing fumes from the morning traffic and not so much in the afternoon because I got to get out of there before the evening rush hour. But I can give you so many examples of places that I lived in where I lived close to busy streets and was breathing a lot of fumes, or the job that I was doing, I was breathing a lot of fumes. And that's another obstacle for me to go anywhere because I'm still so sensitive to auto exhaust, and just going into Asheville and spending time in town, I don't like to do it. I don't like to do it. I'm so sensitive to the fumes. The other day I went to Asheville, and I'm not sure what the hell was burning in the air. I couldn't really put a thumb on it or finger on it. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it wasn't good. It smelled bad all around the Broadway area. And I was like needing to do something. I was walking the dog. I can't remember what I was doing, but I was needing to be there for a while. And so I had no escape. But I'm so glad to get home to be able to breathe clean air. So does Trump really care about the unborn? Okay, so yesterday, Donald Trump goes to this thing, some kind of a rally for against abortion, right? And I'm not saying, because I don't really know that I'm all too big. I'm not caring all that much for or against it, okay? But the question is, does Donald Trump really care about the unborn, as he said he does yesterday? Well, sure, he does if he wants to get reelected, and that's the only reason. Okay, so I guarantee you that before Donald Trump became the president, before he started campaigning to become the president, he didn't really care that much about that issue. But then he realized that if I want to get the Christian vote, the born again Christians, the Mormon votes, anybody that claims to be a Christian, he better start becoming anti-abortion. And so he jumped on that bandwagon full force. Okay, this is what's called phony baloney, friends. This is a phony baloney person. And so many politicians, not just Donald Trump, so many politicians, like, I could not, there's no way in hell that I could stand to be a politician, because the only way that you can keep your job is to just do what the general people of your constituency want you to do. If you don't, you won't get reelected. You can't really tell your truth on the matter. You have to just go with the flow. But he really does care about Saudi Arabia. And just a few days ago, they showed on one of the newscasts that that Jeff Bezos was hacked by MBS, whatever his name is, the Prince of Saudi Arabia. He was hacked by befriending him on the phone, on his cell phone. And then they had some kind of a software that was able to tap into, hack his cell phone, and get all kinds of information from it while they were talking on the phone, believe it or not. So, yeah, but Donald Trump loves him, and Donald Trump loves Putin too. That was evident from the beginning, remember? Remember how much I was saying to myself, what does Vladimir Putin have that Donald Trump wants? Because see, that's how it works in this world. With everyone, not you, me, everyone. Okay, you have a wife and you have a kid, you have kids or whatever, and they have something that you need, and you have something that they need, and some things are more loving and genuine and acceptable, and other things, like wanting to build a giant building in downtown Moscow, something to that effect, with your name, Trump, right across the top of it. And the only way that you can get that achieved is to get in tight with the person that controls that communistic country, right? This is what I see. I'm sure that what I'm telling you right here, there is a large degree of truth to it. Because that's what our president is all about. I've got something that you want, and you have something that I want, and both of those things are unethical. Let's trade. Buildings. Okay, so you want to talk about something that's really unhealthy. Look at everything that he's involved with. They're all things that anybody that's into natural health and healing doesn't want any part of. You don't want to live, if you want to stay healthy, you don't want to live, my friends, in a building. You want to live where it's natural and clean and healthy, and not a giant steel and cement thing. Anyways, so here's another one that I missed here. Okay, so I'd done something nice for somebody the other day, and they were really nice back to me, and I didn't know it because I was down cleaning the trailer, and when I got back from the trailer, I noticed there was a message on my answering machine, and I played it, and it was this person that had said, "Brett, you were so nice to have let me da-da-da-da-da, and I've left you something in the mailbox. Just consider it a little gift, and if you don't want it, just pass it on to somebody else as a payback, or pay it forward." You know, the whole pay it forward thing nowadays that people are into. And so I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I'll go check it out. So a few hours later, I went down to the mailbox, and guess what I got? I got this chocolate chilies and cherries. Okay, so this person works at a health food store. Okay, let me read to you the ingredients. Dark chocolate, which consists of cocoa liqueur, and I don't really know what that is yet. But the second ingredient is sugar. The next ingredient is cocoa butter, soy lecithin, and vanilla. Those are all the ingredients of the dark chocolate. Then the second ingredient is sweetened dried cherries, and that consists of cherries, sugar, rice flour, and sunflower oil. So once again, sugar is the second ingredient. Then ancho chilies and chipotle chilies are the last two ingredients. So I called her back and I said, oh, thank you very much, whatever her name was. And thank you very much, but and I really appreciate it. It's so nice of you, just, trying to be nice, because it was nice of her to think of me. But it's amazing that somebody that works at a health food store, and they know me, that don't know, I guess she didn't know me well enough to know that I don't eat processed food, especially white sugar. And I think that a lot of people, if they have good health, they really just consider it to be that important that they don't eat any processed foods like sugar. Okay? So I'm not one of those people. I have a line that I have drawn in the sand. And I draw that line really freaking deep and hard. And I get it deeper and deeper over years and years. The more years it goes by, the stronger I get, and the more resistant I am to opening this right now and consuming some of that white sugar. So I'll give that to somebody that I don't like. I'll just give it to somebody, not that I don't like, this somebody random kid or something that he already eats sugar. They're going to eat something anyway. It's probably healthier than the other candy bars they're eating. So, somebody's got my back. Somebody's got my back. So, now this may sound really negative. This may sound really almost, not grotesque, almost sinister or something like that. That I would be really thinking that I'm so glad that Mother Nature has got my back, but I am. And when I say that, I'm talking about all of these different things that are hitting humanity right in the back of the ass, or right in the back of the head, or whatever, with a big stick. There are a whole lot of things. You will see more and more as we go on, because we have so many people. We have so many people, and the more people that you get, the more people have to cut corners. And the more greedy people get, the more people have to cut corners. And the more they cut corners, the more all kinds of big sticks hit them in the back of the freaking head. And when I see that, when I see all these various things happening, and I'm watching the evolution of humanity, and I'm watching all of this like play out, like not just politics, but the environment, all kinds of stuff like that, and I watch people figure out various cutesy inventions that supposedly are going to help to clean up the environment and this and that. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's great. That mechanical machine is out in the ocean and it's collecting the trash. But I don't really consider those particular things to be all that much of a factor in what we're against, what we're up against. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing with a lot of different inventions that they're creating that are good. They're good, and the Wim Hof breathing, it's good. It's good. Go out and do some cold air or cold water breathing, expose yourself to coldness, and etc. Or start sprouting or something like that. And those are all cool things. But really, when it comes down to it, people need to go back in a large way. People don't want to hear this, so those of you that don't want to hear this, plug your ears right now. If you can't stand, everybody that can't stand to hear the truth about what humanity, people need to do, I want you to plug your ears right now, because I don't want you to freak out. I don't want you to get nauseous and stuff. But, ready? People need to go back to living a really simple life. And there are all kinds of little communities and villages and stuff around this world that are going to show us the way, friends. Amish people in Pennsylvania. Even though they're now working at woodworking places and doing jobs like a lot of the rest of people, they're still largely living a simple life. They're still living largely a simple life. But the thing that is that it's going to be different simple. Different simple. So we're going to have machines that are connected, like exercise machines that are connected, so that we don't have to burn down our batteries, because you've only got, say, 4 deep cycle batteries. Okay, so you're living in California now, and there is no more power grid because all the poles are burned down. And so you've got 4 batteries, and those 4 batteries are charged with the sun, your solar panels. You got 6 solar panels or something. And so you've got so much electricity to use. And if you use that on something that creates heat, it's going to take those batteries down really fast. So you can't use it for like an electric heater. You can forget that. And you might even have a refrigerator that slides in and out of the house on rails. Okay, so this is what I'm telling you about with this fridge idea is really, really, really simple. You got the fridge that in the summertime, it slides in the house so that any extra coldness from the fridge is cooling the inside of the house. But you don't want the fridge on the inside of the house in the winter time, because that's making the house cooler. So what you do is you open the outer panel on the outside of the house, and you open that up, and then you slide the fridge to the outside of the house so that the fridge door is facing towards the inside, but the bulk of the fridge is now out on the porch on the outside. So it's not making the inside of the house cooler. That is illogical. And so you're thinking in terms of logic now instead of waste. There's so many things that people have to do to get real with energy and with the use of their time. And it's amazing. Tonight, this evening, I took all my laundry down to the washing machine in the basement, and I washed it. Guess what I'm going to do in the morning, because it's sunny tomorrow? I've already looked at the forecast. I know the deal. It's going to be sunny and fairly warm for a winter's day tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, I'll go down to the basement, load my hamper up, walk all the way down the hill by the trailer, and hang up all the clothes. But they won't do that tomorrow in Arizona, where it's hotter than a mother effer. They're not going to do that. They're going to throw it in a dryer and use 220 watts to dry their clothes on a day that'll probably be like 80 degrees. It'll probably be 80 degrees in Phoenix and Tucson tomorrow, but they're not going, and they get sun 95% of the time. But they're not going to use a line to dry clothes. They're going to use a dryer. And I'm not going to tell you all of the obscure reasons why. But it's just where we're at. And there's no reason to be angry about all of the obscurities of humanity at this time. There's no reason to get annoyed, unless you feel like you really want to get it out. Go run around. Okay, go ahead. Go run around your house right now and scream. Go ahead, just run around and get it out. After you've got it all out, mentally, verbally, you may need to throw up. Watch my video, How to Vomit. So, yeah, you just understand. You just come to this understanding that you live in this world of where that's the way people are. That's what people are doing. They're gonna. Tonight I took my recyclables. Okay, here's a perfect example of an understanding of the dude that sits at the recyclables place. There's a guy, or several guys, that man the little shed at the recyclables place. And all he does, for the most part, is sit there and look out this window to make sure that he sees that nobody is throwing a dead body into the garbage or the metal recyclable or something like that. A dead body or a carcass, or they're not throwing something that they don't want to go out into the metal recycling bin or the landfill or whatever. So there's a guy that has to stay at this place and look out, sit in this little square building that's about 10 by 10, and look out this window for hours and hours and hours a day. So how many of you would do that? He needs to do that. It's a meditation. Does he know that it's a meditation? No. Is it a meditation? Yes. That's what he needs to do. Sometimes I think to myself, imagine being one of those people living in Taiwan or China that's working this job of where they assemble these things. This is what they do all day, okay? 8, 10, whatever hours a day, every day, over and over and over again. You just have to come to this understanding that there's a purpose and a reason for everything. You good Christians, you know this to be true because you've read it in your good book. But I just know it because I've lived in this world for 54 and a half years, and I've seen that, oh, well, there is a reason for that. After I was confused for a long time about seeing one particular thing, but eventually I saw that, oh, there actually was a reason for that. So you can hypothesize over God knows how many different reasons there might be for the man sitting in that little building looking out. But one of them might be that he's meditating. And you never know. Someday you might meet that guy and he says, well, I got into Buddhism not too long ago and I decided to get this job because I knew I could just sit here and watch people throw their garbage in that big container. That would be a great meditation tool. Okay. So somebody's got my back. Somebody's got my back. And I'm talking about Mother Nature and God and everything. That for years and years and years, I was thinking to myself that humanity was against me. Because I'm wanting to do everything natural. I'm wanting to preserve the environment. I'm wanting to get to a natural diet. But nobody is changing right along with me. What the hell is going on? How come nobody's doing all of this with me? Only I see a few people here and there, and thank God that kept me going. And I've got my viewers keeping me alive. But I was very antagonistic towards the world, and I still am to a degree, because I just feel as though they're not progressing. But, like I said, somebody's got my back. And who is it? The bacteria. the cancers, the viruses, the tsunamis, the hurricanes, and the twisters. All of those things have got my back. They've got my back. And the way they've got my back is that they are destroying, they are going to destroy people's lives and kill them and give them all kinds of diseases and pain. And I don't get joy out of that, but I feel as though something has got my back. Somebody's on my side. And that's true. It's true. Because, see, if you're on the side of nature, believe me, nature is on your side. There is an energetic thing there. And I'm not kidding you. You're being watched after. Nature has got your back if you are on the side of nature. If you care about animals and plants, and you actually make an effort to care about them, then they know, it knows, God knows. See, that's the thing with a whole lot of religions. They don't understand, remember this, they don't understand that nature is God and God is nature. When you think in terms of logic as well as science, as well as compassion, as well as respect for all of it, then it's got your back. And you eventually come to understand that is the truth. And when you understand that, it gives you a sense of peace. Even if you get killed in the whole process of it all, you know that you at least achieved a sense of that for which I just talked about. You achieved a degree, whatever that degree may have been, of respect, and that in your next life, your next existence, whatever that may be, whether it be in heaven or whatever you want to call it, wherever it is, whatever it is, you're going to move up the ladder. Whereas if you're somebody that just cares about money and you decided to just take your job, your occupation, you got into your occupation just because it makes money. And then you decided that you were going to peddle, you were going to hop on board with the drug company's representatives. You got convinced, you got bejaggled, whatever the word is, into promoting their drugs, like what I saw on PBS last night, promoting their extremely addictive pain care medications. And you decided that you were going to go ahead and do that instead of something natural, because you don't know anything about natural. You've never decided to learn anything about natural healing or natural pain relief, because there's no money in that. There's no money in teaching people how to heal themselves. That's why I don't have any money, my friends. That's why I'll probably never have any money, because when you can the things that you make money from come from you making them one at a time with two hands. How many of you think that somebody that's making things that are sold from moderate price one at a time with two hands is ever going to be very financially secure? It would be nice to have a little bit of security, but so far that's not been the case. It'll be, if I ever do get any, it'll be like one little tiny freaking increment at a time. Like, okay, I was able to save $500 this year. I saved $300 next year. I saved $400 the next year. Oh, vet bill, $1,200. There, it's all gone. So that's kind of how it is. Anyway, so but somebody's got my back. Somebody's got my back. And truth largely has got my back. Truth. But it doesn't have a lot of people's backs. And those people that aren't willing to accept the truth about the reality of who Donald Trump is, I've got a real strong feeling that those people are going to get dropped like hot potatoes. Yeah. I think that those people are going to suffer what they call in sports a letdown, a reality check, if you will. So chickens eating the green seeds is the next thing. Chickens eating the green seeds. Yesterday, I'm sitting here and I see out the window that the owner of the property decided to come over and he's going to do something outside. What is he doing? He's throwing out grass seeds or something that looks neon green. Neon green. And I went outside because the chickens were pecking it, eating it. And guess what? It was some kind of a grass seed with like this neon green coloring on it. And so it's some kind of a synthetic fertilizer, I would guess. But whatever it wasn't natural. It certainly wasn't natural. And so I went and I grabbed the rake and I came over and scared the chickens away as good as I could and started raking it into one of those hard prying rakes, those hard tooth rakes. Started raking it as quickly as I could into the dirt out there where he dug in a French drainage thing behind the house. Okay, so this is a perfect example of how most people out there, they don't know. They're just going to go buy some Scott's Liquid Grow shit from the regular store. They're not going to buy, they're going to buy something with some kind of a funky chemical, some kind of a funky fertilizer, some kind of a miracle grow. They're going to go buy some kind of a cheap product that's toxic to their environment, and then guess what happens? Their dog gets into it. Rat killer. Their cat eats it, and it's dead within a half an hour. Okay? The chickens eat it, and it pollutes their meat and or eggs. Okay? So I called him, I emailed him, I tried to put it as nicely as I could because this is the owner of the property and I don't want to get thrown out on my ass. Okay? He's a nice guy. He didn't really mean to do something stupid, really fucking stupid, but he did anyway. So I just did my best. Now this is what I'm talking about. I'm protected. Nature's got my back, but things continue to happen to me in the country due to the people living around me burning plastic and things, or people that they don't want to be talked to. They don't want to talk to anybody because you stay on your property and I'll stay on mine and everything will be cool. That's not necessarily the case because those idiots are burning shit and or dumping stuff in the water. And I'm clear the hell up here, okay? So I'm clear the hell up here in the mountains. And most of you are clear the hell down there. And guess what? By the time the water gets from all of the idiots, all of the redneck idiots up in the mountains, down to the people in the lowlands, my God, all freaking mighty. I can't even imagine how much toxicity is in all of it. because people don't care. People are so freaking stupid. People are so freaking stupid. It's not even funny. And really, you know, that's where you have to just, we've got one more thing on this page. That's where you have to really pray. You have to really pray and prepare. You can't just pray. It won't fly. If you don't also be prepared, physically, mentally, whatever, and just kind of realize that you're doing your best and you can't control everybody else. If I called the sheriff every time I felt like calling the sheriff around here, I don't even know what would happen. So the next thing is, America is a highly desirable place to be, but, okay, so think of it right now. You guys know that there have been videos that I've made where I talk, I'm just like tired of this country. I'm just tired of it for whatever reason. All kinds of reasons that many of you also feel the same about. But who wants to live in a place down in South America where there is real poverty and a lot of crime, and not good police anything to protect you, and governments that are controlled by drug trade coming to this country, the cartels, governments that are controlled by whatever means by cartels. They don't have any control over things at all. Who wants to live there? Okay, so who can get to move to a more advanced country, like a Scandinavian country? Who can get to do that? Sometimes I think to myself, man, my ancestors really effed up when they decided to move over here. But at the same time, who wants to live where there's snow 9 months of the year? Not me. Not me. So, anyways, the United States is a highly desirable place to live now. But like I said, things constantly change. And imagine in the future a potential real catastrophe, like a nuclear attack. So let's say that one of the other nuclear nations, like China or Russia or whoever, has a nuclear attack with the United States. And then the United States is no longer a desirable place to live. And so now everyone in the U.S. is trying to get out. But there's a wall there. There's a wall between us and Mexico. And Mexico has somehow acquired a lot of weapons. And Americans are trying to scale the wall to get out because there's so much nuclear radiation here and death and catastrophe. And we'll do anything to get out of this country because there's too much pollution and all kinds of things. But just imagine that. Oftentimes I like to flip things over so that I can what's the word? I can contrast. Sometimes it's really good to contrast things. So yeah, people in peril contacting me lately. And like I said, this is the time of the year when don't be surprised if you and or somebody else is in real peril. Especially when right now we have something going on in our country that's very perilous, an impeachment trial. Okay, so there's a whole lot of heavy opinions in these regards. And it's absolutely amazing. Amazing is a very, very good word to see people in complete opposite respects, opposite opinions, in these regards. It's just amazing that some people, like, you wonder, how are they ever going to come to any kind of a reality or compromise or the center? How are they ever going to achieve that? Good night, Marina. Good night, my dear friend. Bye, Cheryl. Masturbation. Tala Hassan. It looks better when your hair is combed. Used a flow mix, used a flow beat, and I'd sure to trim the areas that were. What is MX? What is MYX? So I might come back to the masturbation in a little while. New moon in a, that might be a whole video, masturbation. But see, anything with sex, anything to do with sex is something that like gets into an adult video only. And you should know that adult videos are not monetizable and can potentially get people into trouble, especially when we're talking on a live video that is monetized. YouTube is really, really tough and tight about these kinds of things, especially when it comes to kids now. Because people are so protective of their children, and they don't want them to know anything about masturbation. It's amazing. I'm telling you. We live in a world of preconceived ideas that are so effed up, it's not even funny. Old things, old things that there is some validity to them, but anyways, let's move on. The new moon in Aquarius. Okay, so we're in Aquarius right now, and the moon is in Aquarius. And the moon is emotions, and Aquarius, it plays its own game. Aquarius does its own thing. And I don't believe that I have even one aspect in Aquarius. And I don't know very much about Aquarius either. But Aquarius is supposed to be the king of signs. And so if you are an Aquarian, you are probably somewhat, in some degree, a lucky person. Because, like for instance, Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres are both Aquariuses. And these are people that definitely do their own thing. And there are other people, so many people in this world that you know that they're just followers. They don't believe in doing anything other than what they've been taught. That is the exact opposite of Aquarius. They're very unique people. And that one characteristic, I believe, is probably one of the things that makes them stand out. So, as being like the king of the quote unquote the king of signs in the zodiac. And I have a few friends that are Aquariuses, like Linda. My friend Linda is an Aquarius. And you can tell, it's like I can almost tell an Aquarius. There is a certain aura about them that is higher, if you will. And there are a lot of different planets, a lot of other planets that you can that you have in your natal chart, and so that's not the only aspect. But your sun sign is probably the most powerful aspect of all of them. So right now we have the sun and the moon in Aquarius. And it doesn't surprise me that Aquarius is right in the middle of winter, because they consider it to be the most powerful sign, because most people think that they don't like the wintertime. A lot of people don't like the wintertime. And that's why they moved to California, they moved to Florida, Texas, etc. The winter, the cold is hard, especially for people that are consuming foods that clog their bodies. It makes it hard to pump the blood through your bod when it's colder and when your bod is clogged full of mucus and bad fats. And so that's why you'll see the old people all move down south so they can get relief, because they're not willing to change the other things, or because the pressure's gotten too heavy on them. So I've been getting out of my game, but remembering it again and sticking to the path. Okay, so wow, 10 o'clock. 2 hours I've been doing this. Sometimes I know when I'm not right. Do you know what I mean? I'm not feeling right. I'm paying too much attention to what other people are doing and not paying enough attention to what I'm doing. And oftentimes when I'm not right because I've made changes in my life, my lifestyle, I'm telling you this from experience over many decades, from watching myself, watching my little, probably my spirit, watching my body, watching my mind, watching my actions, watching my thoughts, and seeing that if I made a crazy change in my life, then I just wasn't right. And sometimes I really get out on a limb and I don't feel like I'm very well grounded. And so I have to constantly force myself to come back to the center to be able to maintain my sanity, and mostly that. I've been that way a lot lately. I've been that way so much lately. And because of that, I've been accomplishing quite a bit. So what I do is I start to experience some like anxiety or bad, like funky thoughts about something, like oh, I see somebody else doing this, and then I'm like, oh man, you're never gonna get that. You're never gonna have that much money, or doing what you're doing, you're never gonna accomplish anything. You're just making products one at a time, this and that. Like, look at what those other people are doing, comparing myself to other people, you know? And then I stop myself and I'm like, stop! Focus on something that you can do right now. What do you need to do right now? And every single day, I just go from one thing to the other. I get this done. I get that done. I get this done. I get that done. All freaking day long for like 12 hours plus a day, I do things, whether it be like cooking for myself or making a product for somebody or getting the trailer ready or doing a video like this or whatever. And I'm telling you, I have been getting so much done lately because of these challenges of staying true to myself and getting, I don't know, coming back to the center and do you know what I mean? This video quality is great. When did you get a new camera? Okay, so I added another light. When there's more light, the video quality is better. The less light, the more grainy. That Logitech is a 1080p camera, and I'm not sure if I think I can project it in that. I can't see it like that because this old laptop is only a 720. The old laptop is only 720 pixels, whatever it is, for the screen. But you guys very well may be able to see me pretty clear in 1080p. And that's because I added more light. I don't know that I really like more light. as long as I don't have it shining too directly into my face. Brett, please be realistic. Nobody will think about nuclear things. They just scary people to get to be rich and destroy people's mind. Think about traveling. Thanks for the how to get rid of gas video. I'm going to try out your method right now. That's great, Raya. I wish I could hear it. Maybe I should have a video where I do the gas release method for everybody. If I eat a whole lot of cabbage, it's a funny thing. Cabbage really makes you fart. In fact, I think that all of the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, what else? I can't remember the other ones. I think they all make you fart, don't they? Hi, Brett. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks for the how to. Okay. One of the benefits of insomnia is being able to watch you live. It's 3 a.m. here. Maura. Okay, you guys see that person right there? Maura Baldwin. She drew this. Maura drew this for me and sent it here from Great Britain. Does that look like me? It looks like me, doesn't it? Well, Maura, I'm sorry that you have insomnia, but thank you so much for this thing, this beautiful little picture of me. You know, we could talk on Skype or Facebook, Maura, and I could possibly help you with that. I don't know. But let's move on here. The next thing is watching the progress of evolution, and I've already talked enough about that. So the next thing is new product pictures. So you guys, one of the things that I've gotten done over the last month or so is I've been working really hard on putting captions on my pictures and putting new pictures of my products on my website. And that's been a lot of work, and updating some things, other things on my website. And like I said, I also wrote a couple of blogs. So you should check out my website, brettsnaturalhealth.com. Check out the new pillow pictures with the little captions that describe exactly why my pillows are better and why other people's pillows are deceptive, like the sizes, and how with a millet hull pillow you really need a different kind of a size than a standard size, a standard industry size. And that's one of the things that makes my pillows better, even though it's possible and likely, depending on the size you get, that your cases won't fit on my pillows. You can extra cases from me, but it's very possible that the cases that you have won't fit on the millet pillows that I sell, because it's better to have a square, wider pillow instead of a long, rectangular pillow with millet holes. So, yeah, and check out the orthotics pictures. And thanks out there to Christine. And let me do a quick thank you to some people out there that have been buying my products. I really appreciate it. It keeps me going. Although it's been a fairly slow month, but that's kind of how January is. But yeah, I just sent Christine a pair of orthotics. She bought 2 pair, and she's bought them before. She really likes my orthotics, and they're really dialed in now. I've really perfected them a lot. I don't know that I'm always figuring out something new, some little thing, but nowadays they're very small things that I'm figuring out to improve them. But still, I just keep doing that. I'm beveling the back heel of the orthotics now so that they fit better in that region of the shoe. But Margarita just bought a soother today. Mary bought some pillows, I believe. Patty, Beverly, Marianne, Denise, Rocco. Oh no, it's not Rocco, it's Michaela, and Jennifer. And on the 13th, Mary Ellen bought something. So I won't tell you all the things that they bought, but a lot of those were soother tools, which is fine. And thank you for buying those, and I hope they work really well for you. They do if you work them, if you use them. It's like all the tools. Everything that I sell, you have to make the effort. And it's not just like that's why another reason why it's so hard for me, and I hate to be like a pussy for lack of a better word, but you know, when people don't, when you're the pioneer that's trying to get something going, then you kind of get it going, and then other people either take to it, in which case somebody else will steal your idea, like my back roller. Somebody told me that other people have stole my back roller idea now, and he gave me the link to it, and yeah, I see that. So, or they don't really take to it, that they don't see that it's a very marketable idea, and other people don't really see that, and so they don't buy it. So it's pros and cons, though. There are pros to being who I am and doing what I do, so I shouldn't really complain. Okay, so it's scary to progress. It's scary to progress. And I can't remember exactly what I was thinking about that. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. Years ago, it was really a lot easier for me in a lot of regards because I was a lot more like the general public. I did things that general people do, average people. And the more you refine your life, the more you filter things out, the more it makes you different. And the more it makes you different, the harder it is to find people and things that you're interested in and that you can collaborate with, that you can with, talk to, have sex with, do anything with. And so that's why it's scary, kind of, to progress. Two more bugs. That's why it's scary to progress. Sometimes I think to myself, man, the more I refine my life, the more I'm isolating myself from everyone else. But you know what? You can't look at it that way. You just can't. You have to keep doing whatever you need to do. Come on. And so, no fear, baby. That's just the deal. That's how it is. So it's tough to find things I'm interested in. And, you know, sometimes it is tough to find things I'm interested in. But that's kind of always been the case. I remember the thing that I used to say to my mom all the time was, did you ever say this? Mom, I'm bored. Did you ever say that? Mom, I'm bored. And she would say something like, well, why don't you go out and ride your bike, or why don't you go play with your friend Jonas or something. Do you know what I mean? And so now that you're an adult, you don't have somebody to say, well, why don't you go do this or that? You have to figure it out on your own. And sometimes I get tired of just doing tasks all day. And I want to do something fun and different, but all the fun and different things that other people are doing out there involve alcohol, usually. And that's one of the things that I find so annoying in this world. Do you know what I mean? So annoying. Hang on, I think I got a stink bug here. Where'd he go? Anyways, so the next thing is there's no one solid on interns. Nothing solid on interns. Now, you remember I made the video where I requested someone to come and be one of like an intern. They could learn massage, they could stay and live here. They could help me make some products, they could have clean air, whatever. And I've got a room available. Well, I had 2 people respond to that, and I don't know that either of them will pan out. And it's not really a disappointment. I wasn't expecting it to get me anything because, you know, I live a really different life. I live a different life, and it's just how it is. And that is it, friends. That is it. Everything has been covered, except for the things that I need to buy in town, which are on here that have nothing to do with this video. So anyways, I hope that everyone is doing well. Becca Freeman Krebs is glad to see me, or I'm still uploading. Well, thanks. Oh my god, it's been a while. How are you doing? I'm fine. It hasn't been that long since I made a video. I've mostly been making live videos. It seems to be easier and whatever. So I want to thank everybody for joining me, and please stay away from white sugar and only eat whole foods and all the rest of that stuff, you know. So thanks so much. Bye, Joe. Bye, Becca. I know you just got here, but that's the end. You'll have to go back and watch the whole thing later. This is over. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. Thanks everybody for joining me.